Hi guys, this is going to be a quick and brief tutorial that you should use in assistance of creating the mini project number 3 assignment. We have gone over what the mini project number 3 assignment asks you to do, and the description is available on the course Blackboard page, which is right here. The example that I have provided for you is also available on the course Blackboard page for your continual reference. So mini project number 3 asks you to look at 3 different tools in Adobe Illustrator. Those tools are the pen and the curvature pen tools, the line segment tool, and the shape tool. You are asked to, using these 3 different tools, create original designs, objects, drawings, etc. that come together to form a singular cohesive piece. You are to keep in mind that the creation of mini projects numbers 2, 3, and 4 are to all assist you in the creation of your larger assignment, which is project number 2. You will be using the skills, the tools, and even parts of the designs that you create for these mini projects in the larger project number 2. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, just because I know sometimes it's difficult to follow along with really long tutorials and demos. So I have gone ahead and opened up or created a new document in Adobe Illustrator. So here I am within Adobe Illustrator. And again, as I mentioned, the primary tools that we will be using, the only tools that you are required and expected to use for mini project number 3 are right here. If we look over to the left-hand side of our Adobe Illustrator panel, the pen tool, which is located right here, the curvature pen tool, which is located right next to it, the line segment tool, which is right below the curvature pen tool, and here, the shape tool. Now, if I press down and hold, you will notice that you are provided with various different shapes. The rectangle tool, the rounded rectangle tool, the ellipse tool, the polygon tool, and the star tool. So we will go ahead and start off with the pen tool, which I have selected here again from my toolbar. So the pen tool operates and functions basically using a system of points in which between points it draws or creates connecting lines. So what I'm going to do here is just demonstrate how this works. I will click first over here, click and make another point, click again, and I will drag up to my original or my first point to close it out. Now, I have already previously told my Adobe Illustrator software to fill this, but if it were not filled, it would obviously just be white, and then here is what you would have. You would have this outline. Okay, I can create several other different shapes. Again, this is just by clicking and then closing by clicking on your original or first point. Okay, so just going to make a couple more shapes here. All right, so to get back to my selection tool, which is how I can select on these different objects that I've created in my space, I want to navigate back to my selection tool, which is the top left-hand tool in your toolbar. You can also navigate back to that by clicking V on your keyboard. So again, this allows me to move around my objects, to select them, hence the term selection tool, and to adjust them. So if you'll notice here, I'm going to zoom in for you guys. If you'll notice here, if I hover my mouse around any of these anchor points on a particular object, they sometimes change. For example, this just changed into this curved arrow. If I click while it's the curved arrow and drag, I am able to rotate my objects. If I click on, or if you notice, as I hover directly on any of the anchor points, I can click and drag, and this adjusts the scale. Please note and notice that I am adjusting the scale of this object in a way in which I pull up, it stretches it. It does not maintain its original proportions. I'm going to undo that and show you. So undo by Command Z. This is the original shape then. If I want to maintain the original proportions, I can hold down my Shift key. And now when I adjust the scale by dragging in or out, the object maintains its original proportions. If I want to change the fill of any of these, I can do that in two different locations. I can come over here to my toolbar, double click on this, and tell it I want that to be that color. Let's say I want to change the color of this big one in the background. I can either do that again over here in the toolbar, or I can come over here into my properties panel. I'm just going to go ahead and change some of these. Again, going back and forth between how and where I am doing this, just again, as a means to show you guys different ways of working. And make this one. Okay, so now I've got all of these different shapes that I have created using the pen tool. I've shown you how you can adjust them and manipulate them. Additionally, we can give them a different color outline. So blue is the complementary color of orange. All of these are kind of in the orange family, so I'm going to give them all a primary blue outline. I can increase the size of the outline here. I'm over in my properties panel working with the stroke. I am going to do this for all of them so that they are similar. Okay, so now that I have shown you guys a little bit about the pen tool, let's go ahead and move on to the next tool, which is your curvature pen tool. This tool is located, again, right next to the pen tool within the toolbar. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. So let's come over back into our canvas and look at what the curvature pen tool does. So again, it works with an anchor point system or a points system. If I click here, I make 1 point. Click here, make another. Click here. Oops, I'm still on the pen tool. I'm gonna undo those. My apologies. And I'm gonna lessen my stroke back to 1 and turn it back to black. Okay, so again, in my curvature pen tool, click here, 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 and you will notice that the shape that I am creating is not one with rounded, or I'm sorry, with straight lines, but rather with rounded. So I can create rounded shapes with this tool. I'm going to go ahead and change the colors of some of these just because as of right now, they are not standing out very much against the pre-existing colors. So we'll go over here and let's say we actually want to make these all blue now, because remember, blue is the complementary color of, oopsies, of orange. So I'm going to change all of these to some sort of blue color. All of my rounded shapes that I've made using the pen tool. Again, I am just changing these colors very quickly, and I'm going back and forth with how I am doing it. Okay, so now that they've all been made blue, again, you can do the same thing here, where you can rotate these objects, you can move them around, you can adjust their scale, and remember, you can do so in a way that distorts their shape. Or if you do not want their shape to be distorted, you can hold down your shift key. That one I missed, it didn't get turned blue, so let's turn that one blue. Very bluish color. Okay, so now that they've all been made, oh, that's what I did. Now that they have all been made blue, let's give them all an outline that is orange, because again, orange is the complementary color of blue. So let's just do this one and we'll make that stroke bigger again so it stands out. Just like with anything else in any of these software, you can copy and paste any of these objects so that they are repeated, and you may have any number of reasons for doing that. So for example, if I Command C and then Command V, here I have this same object that I can potentially, oops, I'm going to make copies of this one now, that I can layer on top of each other to, and again, I'm just selecting my different objects and doing edit, copy, edit, paste, and I am moving them, edit, oops, edit, keep clicking paste, I'm sorry, edit, copy, edit, paste. So you can get some like really interesting, fun things, again, just in very simple ways. Let's work with this and then. Okay, so this again is just a very brief look at the two different pen tools. So the pen tool and the curvature pen tool. I also will mention that you can add anchor points to any object at any point in time. So here I have my path and I have this anchor point and I have this anchor point. If I come over to my pen tool and I click on add anchor point, I can click anywhere on a path and add another anchor point. Here, you can also through the selection tool, adjust the objects. And when you are on the anchor tool, you can move, or I'm sorry, on the pen tool, you can move and create new anchors or points. Okay. Okay, so to simply click out of that, I am going to just reference or go back to my selection tool. The next tool that we are going to look at is your line segment tool. Okay, so this is just simply how you create lines. I am trying to think of creating a new, I'm going to do a new file just because that one got pretty busy there. And I want to make sure you can see clearly. So again, we are looking at the line segment tool now. So I have the line segment tool selected, and I am going to select the color black so I know that it shows up. So here is how we can create different lines. And again, this is essentially operating on or similar to the path tool, but different. So if I simply click, drag, and drop, I can basically draw straight lines. If you want the line to be completely straight, you can click, hold down the Shift key, and draw. See, if I pull away, it is going to keep it straight. So that essentially is how you would use lines. I'm going to delete all of these. You can select a number of things at the same time by going to your selection tool, clicking and dragging around multiple objects like I just have, which highlights them, and then click delete. So finally, moving on to your shape tools, which again, they're located right under your type tool, which is the tool that we used in mini project number 2. The shape tools include the rectangle, the rounded rectangle, the ellipse, the polygon, and the star. So we will look briefly at each. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but just click and drag. And I have made a rectangle. Now let's tell it to be a certain color. Okay. All right, so there is my rectangle. If I want to make a square, which means that all of the rectangle sides will be the same, I can do so by selecting the rectangle tool and holding down my Shift key. Now, when I drag and drop, you see that I am creating a square and not a rectangle. So see the difference? I'm not holding Shift. I can make all different types of rectangles. And when I hold down my Shift key, I am creating squares rather. If you reference my example here, these designs that I created in the corners, in the bottom left-hand corner and the top right-hand corner of my example piece are made very easily just experimenting and playing around with different shape tools. So for example, we can kind of look at how that could be done here. And I will just make a couple more just to serve as an example. Okay, so we've got all these different types and sizes of rectangles. So let's try and make something out of them, right? Maybe an interesting design. Okay, so something else that you can play around with, again, you can always adjust the color here. You can adjust the outline, and something else you can do is adjust the opacity. So we could tell these objects that are on top of other objects that we want them to be less transparent, which becomes kind of interesting when there's overlapping happening. And so forth. But again, this is just an example of how I kind of experimented or made the design that I made for the example piece. Okay, so let's look at the next tool, which would be the rounded rectangle tool. So here I'm just clicking and dragging. Let's change the color of these rounded rectangles. Maybe we'll use, let's use orange. Let's use a purplish. Which again, I can have pretty much free reign over, you know, what these look like, all kinds of different shapes and sizes I can create. Here. If I hold down the shift key, I'm only able to create rounded squares. So again, just to remind you, you can rotate all of these objects as well, just like I was rotating the object or the objects that I created using the pen tool. So let's take a look here. Again, I am just playing around, experimenting with how these could potentially come together to create an interesting design. Big, so I will scale it down and move it up. And here I might make this less transparent. I might make this less transparent. I might keep that one. Maybe this one a little less. This one. Okay, so we'll move on to the next shape, which is the ellipse tool. Same thing. I can make all different shapes and sizes of ellipses. And when I hold down my shift key, I am able to create perfect circles. So I am not showing you in this demo examples of creating actual objects using these specific tools. You can think creatively. If you notice here in my example, like I made the computer using the rounded rectangle tool, and I created the base of the computer using the line segment tool. The pencil is a rounded rectangle. The camera is a rounded rectangle. The tip of the pencil is, I used the pen tool. This the paint palette was made adjusting a curved object that was made using the curvature pen tool. So just going back here, again, I am not going to go over or, give examples of making actual objects in this demo, but rather just to show you how to use the tools. So yeah, let's make these maybe, I guess, a yellow. Okay, so all of our circles then, we will make this color yellow. I guess I can actually, you can actually also select multiple things at a time. I am holding down my shift key and it is selecting multiple things as I click on them. So here I might, like I can change all of the color at one time. And then I can move these things around. You'll notice that the colors that I've chosen are or exist as they're all kind of like pastel colors. And so in that regard, they can be understood or seen as being cohesive to one another. Might rotate this to fit better. And then again, I can adjust some of the opacity so that they kind of blend together better. Next is the polygon tool. So I can drag and create these different polygons. Again, if you are selected on this tool and you hold down shift, it will only create a perfect polygon. Well, I guess actually they're all perfect because that's exactly what a polygon is. It's the same on all sides. So I don't think I need to go into extensively showing you how to do that. And the same with the star tool. The star is the same. And so just click and drag and there are your stars. Oops, sorry. Okay, so I am going to actually delete these stars from my canvas and just show you guys really quickly. I can alter all of these objects at the same time if I want to by clicking and dragging around them, and then I can, slightly rotate them all, or I can adjust the scale of all of them. I can Command C and click away and Command V to where I have now duplicated them all, and I now have double. Sorry, my mouse is being a little finicky. So there are many things that you can do using just these 3 or 4 really tools in Adobe Illustrator. You just kind of have to be creative. Like I said, all of these different shapes and designs and everything, were created just using the pen and the curvature pen tool. And then these explore the shape tool. Like I said, I did not get into a demonstration of how you would create actual objects that are representational of things that exist in real life, but that is where it is your job. I have shown you how to use the tools within the software, and now you must employ them into your projects. All right, that is it.